Is it always good to give rather than get? I'd like to welcome back to the show Marie and Sarah. Good to see you.
Hi.
Thanks for being here. Now, Marie, we just saw, it brings back amazing memories from this blockbuster movie. Is it always good to give rather than get? What about Jack? He ends up dying to save his girlfriend. Is that a good idea?
Well, Jesus says give and it will be given to you, but sometimes that is a really hard decision. And of course, when a liner starts to sink, you have to make that choice, like Jack. And it's like a huge decision. And a study was actually done, believe it or not, I'll just read, from the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences.
Okay, so you've got some research here
Yes.
on these ships giving, what happened with the giving and getting of getting lifeboats.
Yeah.
So what did the research show?
Well, it's just fascinating. They compared two ships, the Titanic with the Lusitania. Mm-hmm. Now, on the Titanic, it sank on April 14th, 1912. And it took about 2 hours, 40 minutes for it to sink. Okay. So there was a lot more time.
So it's a slowly going down
Slowly
ship.
going down. And overall, 75% of the women survived, whereas 20% of the men survived.
So the blokes were chivalrous and they decided, I'm going to save the women and children first, just what you'd hope. And they gave up their spots in the lifeboats. Yeah. And they died in their place. In
their place. And they say in this research that it's more the matter of time. They had time to override their initial, I've got to save my life. And they stepped back and thought, oh, no, I'm going to allow the women and children. So
what was the comparison they did? They looked at the Titanic and they looked at the other ship.
Yeah.
And what did they find in the, was it the Lusitania?
Yeah, the Lusitania. It took 18 minutes to sink. It was actually torpedoed by a German submarine. Okay. And there were similar numbers of people on both ships, similar number of people survived overall. But in the Lusitania, the men were the predominant number of survivors. Because there was such a short time, everyone just panicked and rushed and thought of their own survival. So in that instance, sounds like the blokes just were like, get out of my way, I'm going to survive here. And women and children were not they weren't thought of. Yeah, well, I think just initial panic, And sometimes for us, you know, when we come to the crisis of giving or getting, sometimes it's saying we're selfish overall. Yes. And then the first thing that comes to mind is that selfish, oh, but what about me? Yes. But given enough time, if we have a bit of time to think, we think, okay, it's not all about me. Right. And that can happen in everyday things as well. So let me get this straight though. Is this really a good idea if it means actually dying? Like Jack in the movie dies and then his girlfriend survives, and those blokes, they, you know, on one hand we look up to them, but they're dead. What's the point of that? Well, the good thing about what Jesus says about giving, and even if it costs our life, it cost him his life, but he did it for us. And the thing about giving for those guys is that they did it for those women. And there is life after death. The Bible teaches that there is a hope. And of course, Jesus rose again from the dead, and that's the hope that we have, that even if it costs our life, that we have that hope in the future. So if you believe that there is a life after death, this makes a lot of sense. If you don't believe in a life after death, then I guess it's just survival of the fittest. Yeah, survival of the fittest. It's a good idea to shove off that life raft and just go for what you want. That's an interesting, pretty thought-provoking kind of a concept. And so, is there much more relevance for us today out of this example? Can we see? I mean, I'm never on a sinking ship. How does this impact me? Yeah. Well, I think if we look at it in today's terms, and you think, well, Anzac Day, what all, you know, the men and women in our past, what they gave for our freedom that we have now. And you think, wow, what an amazing thing that they did for us. And if they hadn't, where would we be now? That is a great thought. And we do like to honour those who have fallen in battle to give us freedom for today.